Panther people, what up? Is Bryce Young starting to figure it out? If he does, watch out. What's going on? You watch Panthers Post. What a turnaround of events in terms of the narrative around former first overall draft pick Bryce Young. Before, we were talking about he was a bust. He's too small. The size is not figuring it out. He's scared. He's seeing ghosts. He's Sam Darnold 2.0. Footwork is sloppy. He's jumping, throwing screens. How big of a bust is this guy? Is he Jamarcus Russell in tiny form? But now, even the Carolina Panthers, they heard the noise. They put out a little post talking about some of the, the people with a bigger platform than yours truly, whether it is Patrick Mahomes, who obviously saying nothing but good things about Bryce Young, saying that, he remembers when Texas Tech recruited him out of grade 8, and then he watched his film because, he's interested. He's a football junkie, Patrick Mahomes, big football guy. And he said that this guy's clearly going to be a great football player, eventually an NFL player, so he's not surprised about the success that he's going through right now. Kurt Warner, former Super Bowl champion, still a Super Bowl champion, but, in the past. But he's really happy about Bryce Young. He's been one of those guys like a Tom Brady, talking about how, we're putting quarterbacks in bad situations. We're not coaching them right. And here he is praising Bryce Young for what's been happening here, which is in a subtweet kind of way, praise for Dave Canales and Isaac and what they're doing with Bryce Young and his continued development. And then we're also seeing, the PFF guys just talking about how Bryce Young, out of the, the year 2 quarterbacks from last year's draft, he and, of all people, Will Levis are the ones that are performing the best. All of a sudden, C.J. Stroud is trash. He's Dan Orlovsky 2.0, stepping out of bounds for a safety to seal the deal in a loss against the lowly Titans. And then here's Bryce Young, according to some people, including Mina Kimes, say what you want about her. She's my half-Korean sister. And, she said that he arguably had one of the best games that we've seen from a quarterback this year. Bryce Young with the Carolina quarterbacks, Carolina Panthers. Their name at one point was the Carolina Quarterback Killers, but it is crazy that this guy's turning it around. But now we're also hearing it from his coach, Dave Canales, speaking with reporters today, saying that, Bryce Young is getting more trust in the line, in his blocking, and in the guys running the routes. And that is something we talked about. Like, even amateur guys like me saying that it looks like Bryce Young doesn't trust his protection. He's so traumatized, some PTSD from last year and that brutal offensive line. But the addition of a Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt, and then solid center play as well from both, Cade Mays, Austin Corbett when he was healthy, it has done him a world of good. And sitting down for those last couple of weeks, seeing from Andy Dalton, say, hey, I'm a 36, 37-year-old quarterback on the back nine of my career, and I'm standing in this pocket. That's how good it is. And so the trust he has in his protection, the trust he has in his offensive playmakers and making those routes, wow. But, having trust there, even in the face of the amount of blitzes that he got, over 100 yards passing, a great percentage against the Kansas City Chiefs and their Steve Spagnuolo blitz, he had trust. He had trust in his players, trust in his teammates, trust in the offensive line, and he's bailing less. He's sitting there. He's not climbing the pocket as much, but he's just staying there, taking those hits. That's the thing. The man's taking his own hits. No one's talking about his size anymore. If anything, it's a praise the fact that he is getting licks after licks after licks from some of the best defensive lineman player, Karlaftis, Jones, all these guys with the Kansas City Chiefs just hitting him in the mouth and still making unbelievably beautiful dimes down the field. Happy Thanksgiving, America. Your boys are going to be watching football all Thursday long, and Thursday night, I'm going to be having a stream that's live with you guys, as long as you are a member. If you are a member of Panthers Post, you are a Process Blue member. For $1.39 or $1.35 US, you get access to exclusive videos. I have one about Cam Newton right now. Going to be working on some other ones as well. A feature length about somebody on the Carolina Panthers team, maybe saving that for the off season, but you get exclusive access to videos like that. You're going to be getting access to live chats on YouTube with me. We could talk about the Panthers. Almost our therapy session. If you're a Carolina Panthers fan, not from the Carolinas, not from America. We had talked to somebody who, I know Oklahoma's in America, but they're a Carolina Panthers fan in Oklahoma. They're a member. They could talk to me because there's nobody they can talk to in the state of Oklahoma. We got Carolina Panthers fan in Australia hitting me up in the comments below. You're watching games at 3 in the morning. Hey, you want to talk Carolina Panthers? Join the membership. You can talk to me. We got fans from Germany, got fans from the UK, got fans from maybe Spain and Canada. I know they're in Canada because they've hit me up. They've hit me up in the DMs. I found you. Membership, live chats, that could be our therapy session, or in the last couple weeks, celebration sessions. So you get access to those, and you get early access to videos that non-members will get a day later. So if you're watching this now and you're not a member, you're 24 hours late because the members watched it 24 hours before you. It's a good time trying to build a community. That's what it's all about. So happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the turkey, the stuffing. I call it stuffing, not dressing. And whatever you guys eat, because it's the absolute best. I appreciate you. Canada appreciates Thanksgiving. We bid it. I'm sorry. We did it a month early, but you guys still do it right. You have to give some praise to Dave Canales, and that seems to be some of the chatter there, really. I heard a WFNZ, Kyle Bailey talking to Jake Delhomme, talking about how much credit does Dave Canales actually have, and he talks about, how Dave Canales, kind of like Bryce, is the same guy. He's been the same guy when he was assistant. He's the same guy now, same guy in tense situations, easy situations, winning, losing, and I'm telling you right now, his wife's a CrossFit coach. I'm not saying it's because of CrossFit. For a guy who did it for about 3 years, it just seems like he punishes himself so much and so hard on himself in the gym. You could tell. Guy's got a great physique. Can't lie. So then when he gets in these situations, not saying that, doing Murph is the same as being in an NFL game, but he knows what it's like to have his adrenaline pumping. He knows what it's like to be sweating, heart rate going up, feeling a little dizzy, feeling like you're going to puke, but still persevering through that. And I feel like that's Dave Canales right now. And I've said it before. People talked about in the comments below that he seemed kind of arrogant, almost naive. I'd say naive was more the word because he's such a young-looking head coach. He is a young coach, young in his head coaching career. And this is what this is what Jake Delhomme was saying, how despite what was happening, Canales is just the same guy, win or lose, and he's sticking to his plan. He's got an approach, and he's sticking to it, and he stuck to it with Bryce Young, and it is working out right now. The QB whisperer is whispering, and he also confirmed today that it seems like we have to stop playing these games about whether Bryce Young is going to be starting or not. He said that if Bryce keeps doing what he's doing, then he's the starter. Also hearing from guys like from J.C. Horn, from Xavier Leggett about this post-game speech from Bryce Young. The mild-mannered, calm, cool, collected quarterback in Bryce Young, California kid, nice and chill. Apparently profanity-laden post-game speech that apparently not just invigorated the players on the team, but the organization. So I don't know what the post-game post-game locker room was like after losing to the Chiefs in the game that I will say Panthers deserved to win that game. They could have won that game and should have won that game if it wasn't for a couple drops. But it invigorated the organization. And, they talk about the quarterback being the CEO of a team. That's how you do it. He's already nominated as a captain by his peers. But the fact that we're hearing this and they're putting it out there that Bryce is seemingly not this quiet guy. So a reporter actually asked him today, you're not a very vocal guy, and then Bryce Young puts his face almost like there's like outside Bryce Young and then there's locker room Bryce Young. It seems like locker room Bryce Young is a bit of a dog. And so, hey, he's showing it on the field. He's showing it in the locker room. That to me could be a guy who's starting to figure it out, getting that confidence, getting that swagger, getting that leadership. And it's only going to embolden the rest of the players. And these are only good things that can happen for the team. Because if we have our guy, now, jury's still out. Still 6 more games. Some pretty darn hard games as well against the Buccaneers and the Eagles coming up. The Cowboys beat the Washington Commanders over the weekend. It's not going to get any easier. And he's got 6 more games to really prove himself. And I don't think he's got the keys to the franchise just yet. But if he proves himself and he continues to build, and it's hard to imagine how he can get better than that. Actually, no, it's not. Multiple touchdowns, a little bit more velocity in some of his passes. There's going to be a drop-off at some point. Like, he's going to throw a pick. It could be this weekend against a division foe, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But and how he approaches it. Like, we've seen him with interceptions, and people sometimes get mad that he's smiling. He's kind of laughing to himself. Maybe he's a bit of a psycho. I don't know. But if he learns to shake it off the way he shaked off, being benched for Andy Dalton and, what's an interception? Nothing's more embarrassing than being a first overall pick and being benched for a 36, 37-year-old quarterback, from friggin' 13 years ago, from the same draft as the former franchise quarterback of the actual team that you play for right now. If he can get over that and play the way he's playing, I think he can get over a pick. And a bit of a slide in his performance, which undoubtedly is going to happen unless he finishes off, with a 6-game streak that we have not seen in quite some time from a quarterback with the Carolina Panthers. Okay, let's talk about this game against Tampa Bay Bucs. Kind of a weird team. They were serious playoff contenders. Like you would not want to play the Buccaneers early in the season. They beat the Commanders. They had a very close game against the Kansas City Chiefs, which was a brutal game for them, but they took them to the wire all the way to overtime. But then they lost Chris Godwin. They lost Mike Evans. And as what happens with any quarterback, as we've seen with Bryce Young in his rookie year, they had no offensive firepower, and they would go on a string of losses, and then they got some of the guys back. Mike Evans back, they destroy, as everyone's going to be now for the rest of the year, the New York Giants. And so now they're coming up against the Carolina Panthers team, who is also improving. So I think this is going to be a really darn good game. 1 o'clock Eastern time. I think it's going to be a heck of a game, as long as Bryce continues his trajectory that he is doing right now, and he doesn't get flustered and all that stuff. He's going up against, a great defense. It's going to be tough to run against this team with Vita Vea right in the middle. Antoine Winfield has really become one of the best cornerbacks in the league right now. Levante David's a linebacker that's always given us headaches. Yaya Diaby on the defensive line. Like, this is a good defense right now. There might not be ranked top in the NFL, but I think if Bryce Young can handle a Kansas City Chiefs team that is one of the best defensive in the league, I think he's gonna manage, knock on wood, against a Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense that is still gonna get at him. It's a division foe, so you never know what's gonna happen. But they're gonna want to go to the playoffs because now they got Mike Evans back. I don't know about Chris Godwin; he busted his leg up in a bad way, but they got Mike Evans, and we know his history with against the Carolina Panthers. And you got Baker Mayfield playing some of the best football of his career, and I think it's going to be a tough game. I think, again, kind of like with the Kansas City Chiefs, unfortunately, it's going to be on Bryce's shoulders. I would, in an ideal world, not want him to throw as much as he did against Kansas City Chiefs, but the Carolina Panthers offense is going to have to be ready for a bit of a dogfight here, a bit of a shootout against the Tampa Bay Bucs, against a guy in Baker Mayfield who is a gunslinger to the max. I think our defense does have an opportunity to, as long as DJ Wanham keeps getting his game legs under him, I think he can give Baker a hard time. J.C. Horn, man, he had a hard time against the Kansas City Chiefs. He just talked about with the reporters that DeAndre Hopkins had a bit of that, that gold jacket treatment a little bit by the refs. Hopefully he kind of clamps down on his technique, clamps down on, being decisive on how physical that he is with Mike Evans, because they're going to flag him as much as they can. But hopefully last week was, an aberration for J.C. Horn. Who, mind you, happy birthday. I think it was his birthday this week. So as long as he keeps his emotions in check, keeps his fundamentals fresh and sound, I think he'll be able to do his thing against Mike Evans, who, again, coming back from a hamstring injury, make him really run for it to try to maybe tweak it a little bit, just a bit. Chuba Hubbard had a solid game against the Chiefs, but I could see him coming out a little bit tougher. And also Jonathan Brooks, only 2 carries against the Chiefs. Obviously, that was a defensive line and a run defense that kind of forced you to stop the run and just put the ball into Bryce's hands, which ended up being a pretty good decision. But I'd love to see Chuba Hubbard and Jonathan Brooks coming out with a big, a nice little, hey, what's up, NFL? Put yourselves on notice, put yourself on the league stage on the early window that, hey, we're a 1-2 punch you want to keep an eye on. The South has something to say. Detroit's got David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, but we got Chuba Hubbard and Jonathan Brooks. The Maple Barbecue Express, baby. The t-shirts are coming. Join the membership. Might get a discount. But I'm excited. Do I think the Panthers are going to win? Yeah, I think they are. Panthers are going to win 34-31. Eddie Pinheiro going to continue to be the most statistically accurate quarterback in the NFL. Let me know what you think in the comments below. See you guys on Sunday with the recap.